What's up, guys? Today we're going to take a look at a case that many of you probably have never heard of. It's the Mini-ITX Logic Supply MC600. On the left side, you'll see the bracket for mounting your fans. There's one 60mm by 10mm included, and the punch-out spot for another one. The right side where your motherboard sits has two fan slots, but there's not enough space to fit two 60mm by 10 fans in there. The removable bracket in the center of the case is for mounting the PCI extender. Another nice feature of this case is that you can completely remove the front panel, which makes installation even easier. If you flip the case over, you'll find punch outs for mounting it. Also, in the four corners, there are little cutouts, and that's where you put the feet. The MC600 comes with a removable hard drive tray. All you have to do is pop the one screw off, and it can support two 2.5-inch drives or one 3.5-inch. But keep in mind, you cannot use this tray and have a double slot graphics card installed. Installation is pretty straightforward. There's no real surprises or any oddities with this case. It's pretty well laid out, as you can see. It is a little tight in some spots, but that is to be expected from a Mini-ITX case of this size. Just be careful when installing everything. Because it is an industrial case, there are some sharp edges that you might not otherwise see in some consumer products, but just be mindful of that when you're doing your installation. I did not have the Logic Supply PCI ribbon cable, so I removed the center bracket and just bunched mine up. I would recommend picking theirs up, however, or one similar to it, because it offers support for your graphics card so it doesn't sag, and everything lines up really nicely. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I would make sure that you have enough room for your power connector on your graphics card. Other than that, you should be good to go. I'm using a 160 watt Pico PSU with this build, but if you need more power, you can go with the HDPlex 250, and that will give you some more juice. You could run up to a 970 with one of those. Spending some time with the MC600, I really like the case. If you don't like this orange and silver scheme here, you can get it in a straight black, which is probably preferable for most people. It has adequate cooling. I didn't notice, even without any top mounted vents or fans, I didn't notice my temps going up that much. It was about an increase of 5 degrees Celsius, which really isn't that big of a deal. I would definitely recommend using the side vents in a push-pull over the graphics card. So this one kind of coming in and this coming out, whichever way you want to do it. But that definitely increased the airflow and cooled the temperatures down dramatically in my build. Also, I used a Pico PSU. You could definitely use a HDPlex or some other smaller power supply. There's no room at all for any SFX or anything like that, but there are plenty of power supplies that can power a decent system. I've seen people put 970s in here, so it shouldn't really be a problem at all. On the other side, I went with two 40mm fans. To note, you cannot fit, I think I mentioned this in the video, but you cannot fit a 60mm by 10 like the one that comes over here between the motherboard and the fan slot here. So if you think you're going to get it and put 4 60mm fans in here, that's not going to work, but there is space, depending on how your PCB is laid out on your motherboard, to put a 40mm fan, because they only come down to about here. So I was able to do 2 of them and get some air flowing over the motherboard. It was pretty quiet, the case. Obviously there's not a lot of holes for sound escape, so it really was a pretty quiet case. It's sturdy, it's definitely sturdy, it's solidly built. There's no wobbles or creaks or anything like that. It's all steel. The coating and painting is really nice. Obviously the inside is not painted, but that's what you get with an enterprise or industrial case. I would definitely check out the site logicsupply.com. There are all sorts of brackets and mounts. This one, the included one for the hard drive tray you saw. There's also one that lines over the top, and you can put it over top of the graphics card or the motherboard even. I would recommend using this with a single slot graphics card. You can fit the dual slot, but there's really not much room for the SSDs that I put in here. I had to take the drive mount out and just mount them flush to the bottom of the case to get it to work, which is fine, but it decreased the airflow over the graphics card. I wouldn't want to do that long term. So I would definitely check out their mounts that you can put it over top of the graphics card, or go with a single slot instead. For a CPU cooler, you are obviously not going to be able to use any tall coolers. The Noctua LN99 that I have in here is pretty much the tallest you're going to be able to use. There was very little space in between the top of the case and the cooler, and I did have to ramp the speed up from, I usually let it run at about 1,000 RPM. I ramped up to 12,000 so that I could get a little more airflow going down to the CPU. The only real issues I ran into while building in this guy were that the chipset did run a little bit warm. I believe that is because the exhaust is on the left and right sides as opposed to on the back or in the top. There's really nothing to cool this area here, especially if you have your fan, if it's directional, blowing inside the case. So that was a slight issue. It rose a little bit, but not enough to cause an alarm or anything like that. I suspect if you made a cutout here, if you mounted the case slightly and put a exhaust fan, or really just maybe ports just for the air to rise out, it would alleviate a lot of those issues. Again, nothing to be alarmed with, but I did notice a slight increase in the temperature. Also, there are some fairly sharp edges around the inside corners here, so be careful with that. They're not rounded off or anything like that. So I would definitely be careful when building. Make sure you don't cut yourself. As always, thanks for watching, guys. I will drop links in the description below for the case and all the accessories, anything that would go along with it, as well as any of the components that you saw in the video today, in case you want to check them out as well. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. I'm Jay, this is Tech Everything, and I'll see you next time.